Hare Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Rama, Hare Hare. Haribo, 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 Timirandasya Yananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Caitanya-caritāmṛta Sthapitam Yena Bhūtale Svayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yukta Parakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sarajatam Sahagana Raganatam Vidantam Sajjivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Raghunath Lalita Shri Vishakamitamscha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namin Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhya Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayaya Nashta Prayeshva Vandreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatyuttama-shloke bhaktir-bhavati naishtiki. Grantaraj Srimad-Bhagavatam ki jai. Hare Krishna, good morning, everyone. This morning we're reading from Srimad-Bhagavatam. Aren't we fortunate? Canto 4, Chapter 27. Attack by Chandavega on the city of Puranjana. And this is verse 27, 28? 27 is on the board. Okay, let's try it. Kāla-kanyodita-vaco. Kāla-kanyodita-vaco. Niśamya yavaneśvaraḥ. Niśamya yavaneśvaraḥ. Cikīrṣur deva-guhyaṁ sa. Cikīrṣur deva-guhyaṁ sa. Sasmitam tam abhāṣata. Sasmitam tam abhāṣata. Kāla-kanyodita-vaco. niśamya yavaneśvaraḥ. Cikīrṣur deva-guhyaṁ sa. Sasmitam tam abhāṣata. Chant.
Kāla-kanyodita-vaco. Niśamya yavaneśvaraḥ. Cikīrṣur deva-guhyaṁ sa. Sasmitam tam abhāṣata.
Kāla-kanyodita-vaco. Niśamya yavaneśvaraḥ. Cikīrṣur deva-guhyaṁ sa. Sasmitam tam abhāṣata. Kāla-kanyodita-vaco. Niśamya yavaneśvaraḥ. Cikīrṣur deva-guhyaṁ sa. Sasmitam tam abhāṣata.
Kāla-kanyodita-vaco. Niśamya yavaneśvaraḥ. Cikīrṣur deva-guhyaṁ sa. Sasmitam tam abhāṣata.
Kāla-kanyodita-vaco. Niśamya yavaneśvaraḥ. Cikīrṣur deva-guhyaṁ sa. Sasmitam tam abhāṣata.
What's it all mean? Kālakanyā, by the daughter of time, udita, expressed, vacaḥ, words, niśamya, hearing, yavana-īśvaraḥ, the king of the Yavanas, cikīrṣur, desiring to execute, deva, of providence, guhyam, confidential duty, sa, he, sa-smitam, smilingly, tam, her, abhāṣata, addressed. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation: after hearing the statement of Kālakanyā, daughter of time, the king of the Yavanas began to smile and devise a means for executing his confidential duty on behalf of providence. He then addressed Kālakanyā as follows. And Srila Prabhupada explains in Caitanya-caritāmṛta, Adi 5.142, it is said, ekale īśvara Kṛṣṇa ara saba bhṛtya yāre yaiche nācāya yaiche kore nitya. Actually, the Supreme Controller is the personality of Godhead Kṛṣṇa, and everyone is his servant. Yavana-Raja, the king of the Yavanas, was also a servant of Kṛṣṇa. Consequently, he wanted to execute the purpose of Kṛṣṇa through the agency of kāla-kanyā. Although kāla-kanyā means invalidity or old age, Yavana-Raja wanted to serve Kṛṣṇa by introducing kāla-kanyā everywhere. Thus, a sane person by attaining old age will become fearful of death. Foolish people engage in material activities as if they will live forever and enjoy material advancement, but actually there is no material advancement. Under illusion, people think that material opulence will save them. But although there has been much advancement in material science, the problems of human society, birth, death, old age, and disease, are still unsolved. Nevertheless, foolish scientists are thinking that they have advanced materially. When kāla-kanyā, the invalidity of old age, attacks them, they become fearful of death if they are sane. If they are sane. Those who are insane simply do not care for death, nor do they know what is happening, what is going to happen after death. They are under the wrong impression that after death there is no life. And consequently, they act very irresponsibly in this life and enjoy unrestricted sense gratification. For an intelligent person, the appearance of old age is an impetus to spiritual life. People naturally fear impending death. The king of the Yavanas tried to utilize Kālakanyā for this purpose. And so ends Srila Prabhupada's purport. Kāla-kanyodita-vaco niśamya yavaneśvaraḥ cikīrṣur deva-guhyaṁ sa-smitam abhāṣata. After hearing the statement of Kālakanyā, daughter of time, the king of the Yavanas began to smile and devise a means for executing his confidential duty on behalf of providence. He then addressed Kālakanyā as follows. And the next verses will, of course, be his address to Kālakanyā, in which he's going to give a solution to her problem. She is an unmarried maiden. She wants to marry. She begins her attempts to be married by approaching Narada Muni. Narada is a lifelong brahmachari, and he says basically, I'm sorry, I'm not interested to marry. And he directs her, if I remember correctly, he directs her to Yavana. Yavana. The word Yavana, what is Yavana? Yavanas are the Greeks. Yes, I looked it up. Yavana is the Sanskrit for Yona, and Yona are the Ionians, and the Ionians are the Greeks. So there's a bit of trivia for you to be aware of, or not. But it's a term which is used in the Caitanya-caritāmṛta several times, referring to the non-Aryans, the non-Hindu. Actually, the Caitanya-caritāmṛta is one of the earliest texts to use the word Hindu. And it's used invariably in a context of contrast. There are the Hindus and there are the Yavanas. The word Muslim does not come, nor does Mohammedan, but Yavana is there. And sometimes the word mlecha, which is another, it's not actually a Sanskrit word. It's not Indo-European, Indo-Aryan. And so there's discussion about what it means, where it comes from. Different theories are there. But mlecha, one understanding of the word mlecha comes to mean those who speak in an uncivilized way, who speak in a way which you cannot understand. The cultured people, they speak Sanskrit, and other people, we don't know what they're speaking. So they're mlechas. Similarly, the Yavanas, which is kind of ironic, I suppose, because the Greeks, the ancient Greeks, had their designation for everyone who was not Greek. Anyone who was not Greek was barbarian, barbaros, and barbaroi, plural of. So they were the. So and the Chinese, I don't know their word for it, but the Chinese, the Hans, had also a term for everyone who was not of the Han civilization. So there's that general tendency that groups consider themselves insiders and everybody else is outsiders, but here we have a group that consider themselves to be the insiders, the Yavanas, the Ionians, who are considered by the Aryans to be outsiders. What to do? But there's a yavana-īśvara which could be also, well, what is īśvara means Lord, Master, Controller. So there's a controller to the Yavanas, there's a Lord, there's a king, and he's been confronted with this situation that old age, kāla-kanyā, is proposing to him. Of course, this is all part of the extended allegory which is being told by Narada. And it's interesting also as a kind of side point that some verses before this, Narada is telling the whole story. Who is he telling it to? Prachina Barhishat. And why is he telling him this story? Why is
Maya?
Because who's in Maya? Narada?
Krishna.
Yes, okay. Yes, we have this short code for somebody not being Krishna conscious. They're in Maya. So yes, we can say like that. And so we can say he's preaching to him, and to do this, he's telling this extended allegory. And it's explicitly an allegory. What is an allegory? A metaphor, yes and no. You might say it's an extended metaphor, but an allegory is, as far as I'm aware, it's always a story, and it's an allegorical story. It's a story in which the characters, or some of the characters, are representing abstractions. So Kālakanyā is representing, or she is the embodiment of, what is she the embodiment of? She's the daughter of time. And this means she is the embodiment of old age, the aging process. And yeah, the whole story. Puranjana, who is Puranjana? What is he embodying?
The soul leaving the body.
The soul leaving the body, okay. Anything else? He's eventually going to leave the body, but...
Puranjana, the term itself means the one who enjoys within the body or soul.
Okay, yes. He's kind of... well, what is Pura? Pura is a city, so, and a jana is a person, a human being. So a person, you could say a city dweller. That's all of us. But another way of putting it, you could say, is he is he is every man. Every man. Every man. There was a morality play, a famous morality play of the Middle Ages from maybe 14th century in Europe. It was called Every Man. And it's the story of a man who represents every man and his sojourn through material existence. And he wants to progress in life, but alas, he is in trouble because he is sinful. And how can he become a good person? He wants, as I remember, he wants to have association with various persons who may purify him, but nobody wants to have association with him. And so he's being prepared in the story for his death so that he can go to heaven. And as every man, he has the difficulties of becoming qualified to go to heaven and how he's going to do that. So in Bhagavatam, the everyman is Puranjana. And yes, he's being prepared, he's being confronted by death, but before being confronted by death, he's being confronted by so many other things, including old age. There's a nice drama which is quite complex in that it includes allegorical characters and real characters. You can say real. And that's the Caitanya-caritāmṛta of Kavi-Karnapura. Kavi-Karnapura wrote two, he wrote a book of a biography of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and then later he wrote another biography in the form of Caitanya-caritāmṛta. And the beginning of Caitanya-caritāmṛta, there's two allegorical characters. One is personified Kali, and the other is personified irreligion. And they're having a conversation, and the conversation is that it's one or the other, I'm not remembering. Kali or irreligion is very concerned because now Lord Chaitanya has appeared. So I think it's irreligion is very worried. What am I going to do now that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has appeared? Where am I going to go? So that story is there. And then later in the same drama, there's other allegorical characters. There's friendship, and there's devotional service. There's prema, personified prema, and they have conversations, and they observe the pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And at one stage in the drama, there's at least 3 or 4 levels of action going on sort of simultaneously. The outermost level is that of the observers of the drama, and then there's Kali and irreligion, and then a further layer is friendship and prema, and there may be another level, and they're watching as Lord Chaitanya has his pastimes. And Lord Chaitanya is also taking on different identities. He's taking on the form of Lakshmi and so on. So there's allegory as having the purpose of by embodying different characters, embodying different principles, making a story that anyone can relate to. We can understand these principles when we see them sort of being acted out as persons. Then it helps us to grasp what is being communicated. So that's what's happening in this extended allegory of Puranja. Okay, so then we have Kālakanyā, and there's a bit of humor, I would say, that she's canvassing Narada to marry her. And yes, I wanted to say it's interesting that Narada is speaking this story, and then he's saying, and I was part of that story. I was being canvassed by Kālakanyā, but I said thank you, but no thank you. And so then she approaches yavaneśvaraḥ, and yavaneśvaraḥ is now about to respond and make a different proposition. Not that she should marry him, yavaneśvaraḥ, but rather to marry, who is it? Prajvala. And Prajvala is another allegorical person of sorts, embodiment, and Prajvala means the fever at the time of death. And Prabhupada will explain in the, I think it's the last purport, this is a specific level of fever in Fahrenheit he gives. It's 107 degrees. I don't know what it would be in Celsius, but it's the height of fever when one gives up the body. So what is going to be proposed is what the message is, what all of this is all about, is that old age has a purpose. Old age is, as we would say, Krishna's arrangement. Old age is a good thing. Nobody wants good, and nobody wants old age. We don't want it, and yet we're getting it. And any of us who have passed the age of 60 or 65, we start to really feel it. And the intention, the purpose of old age is to recognize, oh, death is coming. If death is coming, maybe I should do something with my time. Whatever time is left for me, I should use this time to prepare. And of course, Prahlad Maharaj introduces this idea already to his friends who are little 5-year-olds apparently. And he's saying, what is he saying? Kaumaram acharet prajño dharman bhagavatam iha durlabhaṁ manushaṁ janma tat abhi adruvam artadam. This human life, it's very rare. Kaumara, therefore, one should begin acharet, one should start the process. A wise person, prajña, kaumaram acharet prajña, should begin the process from the earliest possible time. I remember years ago, many years ago, we were distributing books kind of everywhere, door to door, going. This was in Denmark, and we came to an, how do you say it in a nice way, old people's home, a place where there were, very old, elderly people, and it was quite shocking. We tend to forget just how disabling old age is. We came in this, and there were several very elderly people sitting in the kind of main room of this place, and that's all they were doing. They were all just sitting and staring in different directions, and it was like it was kind of like a horror movie. And it was a painful sight, and there was, I think I was with one other devotee, maybe I was with Vaidyanatha. Vaidyanatha and I were distributing books and music LPs in Denmark many years ago, until we were taken by the police and invited to leave the country. But we had this feeling like, what can be done for these people? Give them prasadam. I don't remember if we had prasadam with us. I think we wanted to have, but it was so painful to see, and there was a sharp feeling we had that these people are exactly what the Bhagavatam is speaking about. Those persons who have really not understood what the purpose of life is, and so they have wasted it. And we hear so many times in Prabhupada's lectures, he's almost pleading with people to take up Krishna consciousness, and his pleading is with this sense that it is urgent, and he knows what's going to happen if one does not take to spiritual life, to Krishna consciousness. One is going to take birth in any number of unfortunate conditions. So that sense of urgency is what we want to imbibe. Srila Prabhupada quotes in the beginning of his purport, ekale ishar Krishna aroshava bhṛtya yāre yaiche nācāya yaiche kore nritya. The only īśvara is Krishna. Aroshava, all others, bhṛtya, all others are servants. Yāre yaiche nācāya, as he, the Lord, dances, yaiche kore nritya, or nācāya, I guess, is causative, as he causes to dance, makes dance, yeah. So as he, as the Lord, causes to dance, yaiche kore nritya, so everyone else dances. So everyone dances as the Lord makes us dance. And of course that is true whether one is in material existence or practicing spiritual life. How is that? How is the verse? Krishna says, everyone follows my path in all respects. Mama manavartante, manusya partha sarvasha. Everyone is following my path. So why Prabhupada is quoting this here, we can say he wants to highlight this point that, he says Krishna is everyone's servant. Yavanas, the king of the Yavanas, was also a servant of Krishna. Consequently, he wanted to execute the purpose of Krishna through the agency of kāla-kanyā. So the idea of agency and the idea that everyone is, in one way or another, the agent of the Lord is suggested here. But Kālakanyā in particular is a very special kind of agent. And as it's explained, she will have her influence everywhere. It reminds me of the story of Kāmadeva. Kāmadeva approaching Shiva. I believe you may correct me. He approaches Shiva on the behest of Parvati. But in any case, he approaches Shiva hoping to inspire him to show interest in Parvati as he's meditating on Kailasha. And when Kāmadeva approaches, Lord Shiva, with his eyes closed, opens his eyes and he glances at Kāmadeva. And with his glance, what happens to Kāmadeva? He's burned to ashes, and then he becomes known as. There's a name for Kāmadeva. Do you know? Ananga. Very good. Yes, he becomes Ananga. What does Ananga mean? Without a body. So this might sound very good. Oh, now Kāmadeva has no body. Yes, we would think. So he's been defeated. There's no more Kamadeva. Right? Wrong. He, when he is burned to ashes, he loses his body, and as he loses his body, he enters into every body. Hare Krishna. Have you noticed? So in a similar way, Kālakanyā, it's not said she enters into everybody, but she is present. She is there. Old age is there. What does Krishna say in the Gita about knowledge? He gives a list. Amanitvam, adambitvam, ahimsa, kshantir, arjavam, acharyopasanam, socham, sairyam, atma vinigraha, Jagannatha Swami ki jai, Shri-Gaur-Nitai ki jai. And then he says, indriyarteshu vairagyam, anahankarameva cha, janma, mrityu, jara, vyadhi, dukkha dosha anudarshanam. So darshanam, we know it means to see, seeing. Anudarshanam means ongoing seeing, or you could say constantly seeing. Dukkha dosha anudarshanam. What is one seeing all the time? Dukkha dosha, that all of this Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadhi is dukkha dosha. It is the dosha, the fault of being dukkha, of being misery. So being aware of that. There's the famous story of the Buddha, Gautama Buddha, as a prince being protected by his parents, being sheltered in the palace, intentionally so that he will not see birth, old age, disease, and death. But his curiosity leads him to venture out from the palace. And what does he see when he goes out beyond the palace walls? He sees old age. He sees someone very old. He sees a dying or a dead person. He sees disease, and all of these lead him. The whole emphasis in the story is all of this leads him to a resolve, to a determination. He comes back, according to at least one version of the story, he goes back to his father, says, "I'm out of here, Dad." And Dad says, "What? You can't go. Please, don't go." And Sakyamuni, who becomes the Buddha later, he says, "Well, I really have to go because I need to seek out the truth. If you, Dad, can tell me how to resolve the problem of old age, disease, and death, then I will stay." And Dad hangs his head. "I'm sorry, I can't give you that." So, well, in that case, I am going. So that is the determination. That sort of determination is really the message also of the Bhagavatam. It's the message Narada himself understands as he describes himself in the first canto. We all know his story. In his case, the impetus comes when his mother is suddenly dies. He finds himself alone. What to do? At that point, he's ready to fully to open himself. We can say like this: he's ready to fully open himself to the Lord's grace. He has received the grace of what Srila Prabhupada calls the Bhakti Vedantas. because he had served them as guests. They have blessed him, and having received that blessing, he has also the impetus to pursue, to find, to look for the Lord. And then there's Dhruva with his resolve, which we know is initially a thoroughly material resolve, but nonetheless it is a resolve. As Keshav Maharaj was saying in his first of this series of lectures on the language of love, he was saying this sense of resolve and persistence is the first language of love. That it doesn't matter that there will be suffering in the course of service, let it come, whatever it is. I simply want to serve. So Dhruva Maharaj, in some sense, embodies that. Prahlad Maharaj, of course, embodies in a different way, but in the case of Prahlad, we can say, what is it? It's a sense that he is already so absorbed in his service, in his remembering of Prahlad, of Krishna, of Vishnu, that he doesn't feel, he actually doesn't experience all the efforts at his destruction. So all of this is about determination, and this is, you could say, step one in spiritual life. Step one, be determined. With the impetus of old age. So we can, as devotees, even welcome the troubles of old age and say, wonderful, yet more impetus for me to take shelter of the Lord. Hare Krishna. With that, I think I need to end and say thank you all very much for tolerating me here. And please forgive me my indiscretions and my shortcomings and my aparadas. And I hope, Krishna willing, I may come again sooner rather than later. Hare Krishna. Grantaraj Srimad-Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Shri Gaur-Nitai ki jai, Shri Jagannath Sumandra Valadeva ki jai, Gaur Premanande Hare Krishna.
So there's Krishna Kshetra Maharaj ki jai. And Maharaj, of course there's no question of what you just said, but please forgive us our shortcomings and all the mistakes we did. Pancha Kalpa.
Synonyms, Krishna Kshetra Swami Maharaj ki.